Hello, and welcome to Prusa Live 16, a very merry edition. We're glad to have all of you guys here just a couple days before Christmas. And yeah, let's get on with the show. So with me, as always, I've got Nicholas Zusa,
Hello.
The main man, Joseph Prusa. And tonight, we're having a special show. You're used to us having one guest doing this for an hour. We're going 2 hours tonight, and we've got 3 guests. With us first will be Neil3DPrints, who we've talked about a bunch of his prints before. He's making the amazing Prusa mates and the Little Cities collections, as well as all kinds of other cool things. We have Joel Telling, the 3D printing nerd, here to share his Christmas gift list. And Jason Babler from 2K Games to talk a little bit about 3D printing in the video game industry. I think it's going to be a great show. I'm super excited. Yeah, so why don't we kick this off with our Prusa Printers Picks of the Week? What do you got, Joe?
Oh, so after I complained last time that I'm never the first, I now have to be the first.
Now you have to be the
Every
first.
single time after that. So I like the practical things. It is not the seasonal holidays themed, but I love the print in place prints. And this is, I think it is originally the PCB holder, and you can just clamp stuff up. But it could also be like, I don't know, temporary piercing. But basically, you can clamp anything in this, and you have a nice stand, and you can prop it up if you work on it. Maybe if you work on Christmas ornaments and stuff, it could work also too. Nicholas, do you have the link for it?
Yes, I do.
Yes. In this time of year, I'm forgetful, so I'm sorry I don't remember the design.
I will
top of my head.
share the screen for a second. And it is by Zuberio, and it's featured on the homepage of Prussia Printers. So it is super easy to find.
Yeah, featured. So go for it. I think between the holidays, all of us will have a lot of time for hacking on stuff. So this is a very useful contraption.
Yeah, super cool. It reminds me of like the pinchers on like an ant or
Oh
something.
yeah,
Bug there with the
totally looks like it.
Can you see the herringbone planetary gearbox?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm definitely gonna have to give that one a print. It looks super cool. All right. What do you have, Mickey?
I have another thing that's featured on the homepage of Prussia Printers.
Wonderful.
And it's a nice last-minute gift in case you still forgot about someone, right? So it's keychains. It's these golden animals. They're super cute, but they're also phone holders. And when I first saw them, I was like, it's a cute gimmick, but like it probably won't work too well. But somehow, totally randomly, it fits my phone like perfectly. And it actually,
awesome.
it even like holds it standing up because my phone case is like a little bit rubbery, so it really holds it well. So I can have it, it's hard to say, but just on my desk. So it's actually kind of useful. So for kids or like a friend, like it's a tiny gift, but I think it's pretty nice. I'm pretty sure I have it open as well. I can just share it.
what a coincidence that it is also featured.
Oh my god.
Super coincidental.
I mean, who is doing the featured prints on Prussia Printers?
I heard he's a great guy. Anyway, this is by Shira, so great job. I love the design.
I mean, because you're starting to be like me.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful. Okay, Matt,
Self-burn.
what do you have?
Yeah, so I have the Christmas lantern from our good friend Bugman140.
Nice.
So this has individual like sides that each have a different decoration, and you can kind of put lamps down. I've got some fairy lights in there right now, and then it has a candy cane base with and everything's individual items. So even like the candy cane swirl is 2 different prints, and then they just slide in together. So you don't need an MMU. You don't have to worry about any kind of color changes, anything like that. This is totally accessible on just a normal printer.
That is very nice.
Yeah, this is actually one of his designs from last Christmas. But we weren't doing this last year, and so it's nice to show it. It's nice to show it off this year.
What is this episode? Is it 16?
Yeah, it's 16
Yeah,
already.
16. Yeah,
The time flies.
it does, right?
But it will never be as cool as visiting or meeting everyone at the shows. But
Oh no, not at all. I would give this up in a second to go back to physical meetups and hang out with people and things.
I mean, when everything opens, let's do both.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Not everyone can come to shows, but
but we can also do Prusa live, right? Like we could do a show with an
God.
audience.
Yeah,
right?
I guess we could.
I mean, we now have to force our stream master Mikolas to say yes. But
I mean, if it's gonna be like a little bit jank from a phone.
I mean, it will be a huge pain for him to bring a streaming setup, and have like two redundant connectivities and stream from the other side of the world. But Mikolas can do it.
We can get it figured out. I have faith that we can get it figured out. I mean, I know people who specialize in this, so if it's every once in a while, we can make it happen.
That is a Christmas project. Studio in a suitcase.
Yeah.
People are in chat like, is the audio okay? Like most people are saying it's okay. Some are like, just if the audio is somehow weird, just let us know in the comments. I'm looking at the chat.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a big update to Prusa printers. Of course, all the Prusa printers picks that we just had, you can find on Prusa printers. But we just had a big update, something that a lot of us have been dying for and super excited about. So we now have email notifications on Prusa printers, the long-awaited notifications. So if someone comments on one of your prints or tries to send you a message, you now can get an email notification and set all of that up. Mickey, do you want to show where the button is? Because I've had I had a little confusion myself as to where to find it to begin with.
I think it's actually in two places, but
okay.
Either way, I'm gonna. Oh my god, people are texting me. Okay, do you see my? Okay, so
yeah.
I think if you go to just notifications, right, the bell, here's the email settings, and this is where you can, turn things on and off. What I'd suggest is to leave at least the first one on. What that will do is, rather than sending you a new email every time the same person like texts you, it will just, send you the email once, and then it will wait for you to check it, so it won't spam you that much. And also, you can pick which you prefer to get as an email and which not, which I think is sweet.
We really don't want to be like the spam service.
Yeah.
But I think the setting Mikola just said is nice. But on the other hand, it would be nice to have an app and to have like notifications for all that stuff. But we'll
get there. We'll get there someday.
I mean,
we will get there. We will get there. But I mean, I just don't want to force.
Right.
I mean, it feels improper to have everyone install.
I mean,
the app.
I have an app on my phone, and I can click it, and it opens Prussia printers.
Oh,
it's if you just Google progressive web app, we support that. So basically, it's a fake browser application, but it hides the URL and everything. And our design is like made pretty well for mobiles. So if you want to browse prints on the go, this is actually a pretty nice way.
Yeah. But I mean, you are saying that on the iPhone for the at first that. The only way how to get apps on the first iPhone.
No way, really? It was the only way.
Yeah, I mean, you had just like the HTML5 or how.
That's
how
crazy.
Like that.
Yeah.
And there was no App Store, so I mean, we can call it going back to the rules.
I think you can make notifications like push notifications for progressive web apps. So if we manage to do that, it will be like super cool getting Prussia printers notifications on your phone.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about the push, maybe, but definitely the badge.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in our first guest. So our first guest today is Neil3DPrints. As I said, he is the creator of the Prusa mates and the tiny cities. Let's go ahead and add him on here. So our first guest today is Neil3DPrints.
I think I hear him.
Yes, I think we might hear him.
Because wasn't the only Christmas wish that our stream will not have technical difficulties?
Here he comes.
Nice. Hi, Neil.
Hi,
Hey, Neil.
Hi.
how are you?
We're
Very
great.
good. Thank you for joining us. So, like I said, we've featured a bunch of your prints on the show before. You're the creator of the Prusa mates and the tiny cities, as well as some other interesting collections. And
love
yeah,
that
there's the Christmas Prusa mate there.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, here's the tiny cities. I think I showed it off actually.
We have a print.
The last,
Okay,
the last stream. Yeah, here's the Prusa lab from Tiny Cities.
Nice.
Oh, that's a great print. I like that.
Yeah.
And it's
And
not
then-
MMU, which is crazy. It's just
Right.
Yeah, none of my
Right.
designs are MMU. They're all designed so as many people as possible, if they want to, and they have a printer, they can actually print it.
this is great.
So I don't like excluding people just because of they don't have an MMU upgrade or a mosaic palette. So
Yeah, that is wonderful. And you know what it reminds me? Back in the day when we were starting to print, the designs were simple, but yet still you had to use supports. But over time, as the designers evolved the techniques, how to make stuff to be printable without supports, now, some of the prints we showcase here, they are printable completely without supports. And 10 years ago, we would think that is bonkers. And I would say that this is a quite good analogy to what you are doing, because in the 3D printing world, a lot of people think that it cannot be done any differently. But I bet 99% of the people, when they see your designs, they think, "Oh, I just don't have like the multi-material or the palette.
I
print
actually
good job."
I actually find it a compliment every time someone leaves a comment beneath one of my posts or something, or saying, "Oh, I don't have an MMU." It's like, you don't need it. It's it's just layer change, color changes here and there. But on the whole, yeah, as long as you got the filament colors, you're fine. Just rock on and crack them out your printer.
I've got the
One of the things that
S on
go
my
ahead,
head here.
Mickey.
Yeah, just it's so cool, so
Wow.
cute. And the brush
Yeah.
shade.
And even if I have all the MMUs in the world, I can have all the palettes, all the multi-material printers. I still think if I can print something without having the hassle of having multiple materials going at the same time or multiple tool heads, I will just go for the simple version.
Yeah, for sure. Like MMU is a very complex machine, and especially once you go to like 5 colors or even more, if you want to do like a color change, like combining the MMU color changes with like manual filament swaps, like if you want like 8 colors, oh my god, that is so complicated. Versus just printing,
Shout out to Tom Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the things I really appreciate about your designs, and I think your designs are a great thing for up and coming designers to look at of how your process works, is some of your parts will be glue ups. So it's not just a color change. You'll just have 2 parts that you just glue together. But you kind of find simple ways to register a lot of those glue ups so that you don't have to worry about something floating away. There'll be like a little indent that something will fit down into, so that the glue up locks in a perfect place. And I really appreciate that.
I mean, especially the little cities as well. I mean,
Yeah.
For me, it's not just having like a playability once it's actually printed. Actually, assembling it is also supposed to be quite fun as well. So, yeah, they are a lot of fun.
A good example there is like the roof on the top of the Prusa factory there. Like, it actually has little alignment slots, so when you go to glue it in, it's not just floating around. it locks into place, which, you know, I really appreciate.
We actually
The
have
funny thing, the original Prussia mates, I actually designed that in response to so many people asking me the question, can you print a 3D printer? And I got so annoyed with always having to explain that actually you can. It's like I just designed, you know, I thought just designed a little Prussia mate in response to it. So
Yeah,
I love
they are
I want
definitely adorable.
I want to ask you, is your day job like toy designer?
it could
no,
be.
I actually do finance and admin. It's the complete opposite of
Not it could.
designing.
It should be your day job.
Yeah.
It would be nice, yeah. It's something for me to aim for, but yeah. But I like the Prussia mates and also like the printer team designs because they've got that sort of like Pixar sort of aesthetic to them, and I just think they're adorable. And the core of them, I mean, I just like the idea of like being able to make people smile or laugh just by viewing them, and you know, they're great fun. So
Yeah, and you have some other designs outside of those two kind of categories. Sorry, up on Prusa Printer. So you have some other like simplified action heroes. I think would be a good way to say it, right? Like you have the Flash and some other.
Yeah. So the original one was just a P, and all it was just a ball with eyes. But again, it was just so adorable. I just had to, you know, make it printable for people and then shared it online. But this was actually the Flash P was actually for my nephew because he's a massive Flash fan. So, you know, I just had to, you know, give him like the little things like that lot. And I like
Joe loves Batman. Yeah.
Well, the symbol looks like its mouth, and now I've mentioned it, you'll never unsee it.
I mean, but it is kind of it suits it because it kind of looked like two vampire teeth.
Yes. Yeah. So what kind of inspires you to make some of these characters? Like, you know, the kind of the Christmas tree that you have out there, and some of the other kind of like off the wall characters that you've made.
That's a really, really good question, actually. It just depends on the actual time. I mean, for like the Flash, obviously, present for my nephew for Christmas. The Batman was actually a present for my brother. My brother-in-law. I did a Superman as well, which I've shared with patrons, and that's a present for my my brother. But it just for me, it's all like I'm trying to capture like an adorable cuteness behind them, and so I mean for the printers, I mean that started off with the original Prussia mate getting ticked off with people asking me, "Can you 3D print a 3D printer?" But also I remember at the time as well, because we're going through the whole COVID thing. I mean, that was a few months actually into it, and it reached a point where I thought to myself, you know, I think it's time people smile and get happy, and you know, so you know, I came up with the original Prussia mate. But I mean, it became quite popular, and I had people messaging me saying, "Can you please design a mini version as well?" And it's just escalated from there. And I love designing them, so
yeah,
you know, I'll keep spurring them out. But yeah, it's pure, stupid, idiotic, childish imagination. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
I think. Go ahead, Joe.
I can tell you, as you said, that you like to make people smile. You definitely had like 99% of our factory smiling because it was going everywhere, and everybody just loved it.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that really kicks into the whole thing of all of them. Like, you know, even not the characters, even the tiny cities, like everything has a level of like joy to it that is something that yeah, I think we've all really needed this year, and so it's been a nice little addition. Like it's perfect timing for these little things that are nothing but happiness.
Well, with the little cities, I mean, especially when I was growing up, I loved like the original micro machines, the cases you can connect together, but as well as those like the Mighty Max sort of toys you got as well. You know, opened them up and they had a world inside them. But I'm always remember with like the original Micro Machines, the roads never really matched, or you know, there wasn't enough color. So you know, the little cities, they're very colorful, and the roads match when you interlock them as well. And yeah, it's all I like the idea of creating the world and expanding the world as you know, as I actually create more designs. And
yeah, that was actually something that in my notes, like, it sprung to me too, was like the little cities remind me so much of Micro Machines growing up, and you know, how much fun there is in that kind of, you know, super tiny world kind of situation. I know we were talking a little bit before you came on about little cities and some of the inspiration there, and how in some ways with little cities you have too much inspiration. Your list just keeps on growing and growing and growing. What kind of like excites you? What do you see that makes you say like that needs to be the next thing in little cities? Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I mean, it's like actually yesterday I was thinking to myself, okay, so what's the next one? And I was looking at my list, and there's about 30 on there of potentials that I'm going to create. And I just suddenly thought to myself, well, there's a documentary I watched on like one of those giant radio telescopes. And I was like, actually, I have to do that. And it's like, you know, that, and I was excited because it's something that's unusual. It's a, you know, really interesting building, but it would also make an incredibly good fun toy as well. So, yeah, it's it just needs to be something that actually initially grabs you.
Yeah, and all of them I think instantly have like clicked, just like you say, of like they're so recognizable as to what they are, and seem so familiar. You know, everything is, you know, even in the little cities, I see everything as kind of a caricature, and just really kind of honing in on what makes that thing.
You mentioned
caricatures
Pixar
are normally
it's very very big Pixar aesthetic.
Yeah,
Like I can really see that. Like if that was the inspiration, it definitely has the vibe. But also just look like a technical thing. I just looked at, what was I looking? Oh yeah, at the superhero. When I was looking in the 3D view. Like you also, like, I don't know if it was like intentional, but I think you picked like a really, they are so smooth, like even the STLs, like, and the file isn't huge. This is like 20 megabytes. Like a lot of people make the mistake of exporting kind of rough resolution of the meshes when they're this smooth. This actually is super smooth, so that will print very nicely.
Well, I'm glad you like my smooth STLs, Nicholas.
Yeah, I do. Not all STLs are so smooth.
Well, I mean, for me, it's important to make it as easy as possible for people to actually print them as well. So what I'll do, I'll organize all of the parts, all of the STLs together, but then I actually put them through into like a different slicing software, cut it all up and make sure it's all level to the actual bed, and then position them so they're all quite close. So for anyone who doesn't actually have a you know, a MK3 or Prussia mini sort of like size build plate, you know, they should still be actually, you know, be able to print them.
I mean, this is probably printable on SLA with like, the resolution seems like, I mean, unless you printed huge, like it would be super smooth even on SLA with the resolution you picked, which is nice.
I've never tried it. I would like to see it though.
Well, I know David is watching, our master of printer and painter. So here's a request, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send David a message and I'll put in a request.
Yeah.
That's great. So, you know, talking about that resolution, it really kind of brings into the tool sets that you're using and things. What are you primarily designing in as you're working on all of these?
Well, believe it, I actually use the old 123D design primarily. So I mean, I can use SolidWorks and Fusion 360, but I've always just found 123D design is just so much quicker and cleaner as well. And even though it's not actually supported anymore and hasn't been for a number of years, it still actually works fine on my PC. And yeah, I just love it. I have used Blender 3D in the past as well. I've done courses on it, and you know, Blender 3D I love. I think it's absolutely amazing. But again, with 123D design, it's just so much quicker and easier. So Yeah,
So
that's the primary software.
Mikolas, I saw Mikolas how he's like eyes are brighter when you mentioned Blender. but yeah, 123D design, it kind of disappeared. But I think it was like the perfect middle step between like Tinkercad, which is maybe a little bit too simple, but and Fusion 360. I remember it was something in the middle, and there's nothing like that.
It perfectly bridged the gap between Tinkercad and Fusion 360, but it was in its own right. It was still really, really good, powerful software. But I mean, Fusion 360 is great for like engineering and so is SolidWorks and all of that lot. But if you just want something very, 123D design is just great for quickly mocking up designs.
If it works, like, I guess why switch? Like, sure, new softwares get updates, but I mean, most of the time it's nothing really that life-changing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I've found if I end up with like far too many models or geometry, we're actually within it, then it'll start crashing like the clappers. But other than that, absolutely fine. And if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, so. Right, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, I still think that 3D is missed because Fusion 360, it just seems too overwhelming for a lot of people when they are just wanting to try out.
It needs a simple mode.
Yeah. Or if somebody from Autodesk is listening, they should bring it back.
Yeah, I really do think they should bring it back, and it's a shame they stopped supporting it because it was a great program. And again, it is brilliant between Tinkercad and Fusion 360. It's I think if you go to Tinkercad and then you leap straight to Fusion 360, it really is too much for and it is quite overwhelming. So yeah, I really want to bring it back.
I see super cute message in the chat from Spencer. And that's such a great idea. He's using your mate models. He printed them.
Okay.
He has a printer on the way, but lead times. So
yeah.
so he packed. Basically, his daughter will find your Prussia mini mate under the Christmas tree, so that she has something to under it while she waits for the printer, which is really cute.
That's really adorable. And that's the thing, it's all like the Prussia mates and the little cities, they've proven really, really popular with kids as well. So, it's absolutely great design in them.
Did you have something in there, Joe?
I mean, I was just going to say that I always have the chat open on my phone, but I have no idea how you guys are keeping up with the chat.
It is tough.
When Mikolas told it, I was trying to find the message and see it, but I couldn't.
I mean, to be fair, I do have like force. It looks like a nuclear power plant headquarters or something, just screens everywhere. So that helps.
Absolutely. So do you use any other tools, any physical devices or any other software or anything in your design process? Are you a space mouse guy or
So I'm primarily mouse man, but I do actually have a graphics tablet as well, and I use the graphics tablet for whenever I'm doodling in Critter or I actually need to go into Blender 3D and actually sculpt something, which I need to start doing more. I need to start sculpting more. So
it's fun, and I think with the shapes that you're usually going for, like that should be like pretty like not too steep learning curve for sculpting. Like that's I'd say like about as far as I got, because once you go to do photorealistic stuff, it's so difficult, right? You have to learn anatomy. You have to just sculpt bones and faces over and over and over to start getting it right. But when you go for like something stylized, that gives you a little bit of freedom. You don't have to be so correct all the time.
Well, I mean, one of the things I sculpted, one of the little cities, the quarry. Actually, look at all of like the rock formation on one of the sides. That was all primarily sculpted.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about as basic a sculpt as you can actually get.
But I mean, it's great that you're like already incorporating it, because I think that's the best, like sculpting a rock, right? Like what can go wrong about it? But
well, yeah, exactly. It's practically impossible to make it look bad.
I know, right? But like, how would you, if you try to make it with like a different tool, it would be so difficult to like get it looking organically like a rock. Whereas in sculpting, you just make like a blob and like it's a rock.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think you've tapped into another side of like the greatness of the modularity of the designs that you're doing is you can do a bulk of the work in a faster tool, and then because everything is kind of like snapped together, glue in place, you can take specific parts of the design and do that in a sculpting program or in some other program that's going to take a little bit longer. And then just fit the pieces together. Like you don't have to stick to one program alone to make it happen.
Yeah.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one. So
Oh,
that rock formation, that was all actually sculpted in Blender 3D. And the reason for that is because you try doing that in like a CAD program.
Yeah, I know, right? That turned out really well, actually. Nice.
Yeah, I was really happy, especially with the once it actually printed with it fitting together as well. Because I'm quite particular with like the tolerances to make sure the things fit together well, and they pop in and off and etc.
Yeah, the way everything fits together is outstanding.
I'm blind. Whatever. Oh yeah. And it's actually quite detailed. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Done with a graphics tablet and one of those pens.
Yeah, I mean, I bought a tablet to go sculpting, and I've sculpted like 3 times since I did that. But I just like gadgets, right?
Yeah. I mean, with Blender 3D, I've done a couple of like character designs, but that's done with like the mesh geometry. So where you expand it out and then duplicate, expand, and duplicate. So I've done a couple of character designs like that. But I have found that like one of the best things to actually learn sculpting is clothing, for instance. To put creases into clothes and things like that. Sculpting is absolutely fantastic because it's basic, and again, it's a little bit difficult to actually get that wrong. So
it's a great skill to just, even if you learn the very basics, I really like urge everyone that's watching to just like make a rock or like make a scratch or a crease in a model that you made in a cat or something. Like it's just try the little bits and you're like realize that it's actually quite simple to get the basics of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it will seem really, really intimidating offhand.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of sculpting. So yeah, you're right. Rocks and stuff like that.
And we have a fun side of this particular stream in that our final guest actually has a very major like sculpting background, traditional hand sculpting and everything else. So talking to him on the other side about his sculpture side, because I know Jason finds the kind of old school sculpting and then moving into the digital side easier for him to wrap his head around than like the mechanical CAD that a lot of us do, because it's kind of two different trains of thought.
I'm actually looking forward to watching the next guest. So both Joe, Tellin, and Jason.
Yeah. So we obviously go ahead, Joe.
you always you're like the bulldozer. You're always going, and but I was going to say that it is like the nature of human psychology that even though something is actually quite easy, we rebuild like walls in our head that it is too complex that I can never learn how to do that. But as Mikolas said, like just try to add like scratches onto your normal design and get comfortable with it. I remember it, and when we are teaching or telling new people about 3D printing, you always see it. I mean, I will never be able to do that. I'm like saying always, this is much easier than to do like text formatting in Microsoft Word.
Yeah, it is funny because it's all like whenever I hear that, I'll never be able to do that. It's sort of like it's always a little bit strange for me to hear, because I've always got a perspective. Is like, well, no, you will be able to do it. You just need to dedicate time towards it. It's like with anything that's worth pursuing. It's
wise words.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I love design. I love creating the Prussia mates and the little cities and everything else. But again, it's all come with experience. It's come with knowledge, and it's all like if you get an idea. I mean, if someone decides they want to build their very own 3D printer, then let them. It's all right. Think of the stages you need to actually get there to create your own 3D printer. It's there's all everything worthwhile is with me.
Is it breaking up just for me? Is it?
No, I'm getting a little breakup too.
Okay, we are losing you a little bit, but it still got through most of it, Neil.
All right, so
Yeah, it just got a little
you
bit.
can hear me okay now, though.
Yeah, now it sounds fine. It was just a little bit robotic near the end. That's it.
Yeah, I think the good kind of point there is like, none of us were born knowing how to do these different things. Like it's all just a matter of practice and putting the time in. And so, Joe didn't pop out knowing how to design a 3D printer. He put his time in, and I'm sure the original parts on the simplified Mendel were not the very first parts that sculpted or that were designed. That it was a process.
I mean, I actually think that that they were the parts were one of the first I designed. I learned how to design on the first machines I made because I was lazy and the original Mendel was too hard.
There were just way too many screws.
Yeah, so maybe even like my lack, maybe even my lack of skills at the beginning with the CAD software, or I mostly use OpenSCAD to program it. So maybe that forced it to be even simpler than I would.
Yeah.
It was very, very hard to do some like fancy stuff, like thing and stuff.
That's true. Actually, once you like master modeling, it gets easy to overcomplicate things. So sometimes it's nice to just take a step back and go like, do I really need to model it this way? What if I just turn the whole thing upside down? And what if there's like a much simpler way?
But before we lose you, just a couple last things. You kind of hinted on a little bit, but we love all the things that you're uploading to Prusa printers, and there's a huge collection there. Like you're becoming a very prolific designer on Prusa printers, and we love it. But I know you have some other models out there for Patreons and things like that. Where can people find you?
So yeah, I am on Patreon. I've been on there for about 2 months. So I'm still a bit of a newbie on that, as well as Twitter as well, under the same name, Neil3DPrints.
Fantastic. Link in chat.
And do you have any like hints for us? Any sneak peeks or anything of anything that might be coming up?
No.
Nice.
Very direct.
I mean, that's fine.
I mean, that's probably just how we need to start treating all the questions that we get of like, hey guys, do you have anything to tell us about the XL?
No.
So, well, there's one design that's coming. It's a similar to a little city. It's called I've called it a little playset, and it's like Mario themed, but it's not ready yet. So.
Ooh, nice. Cool. Love me some Mario.
Yeah. That's super exciting. All right. Well, we really appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you want to stick around, we're probably going to pull all the guests back in together at the end. But cool. We will chat with you shortly.
Thanks.
Cool. I'll see you soon.
See you.
See you soon.
See ya.
Oh, that was fun. I love his pieces, and yeah, I hadn't really kind of entirely touched on until this talk about like how much all of his works are just like little joyous things, like they just make you happy, and it's really great.
It's also nice to have a face behind a nickname on Prussia printers and someone you just know online. It's always nice to even though it's online, to meet the person.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, it looks like you're having a lot of fun with your fidget toy there. So the clamp works for more than just clamping.
Yeah, I mean, I am known to fidget a lot.
Yeah.
So
talking about Prusa Live and talking about all the things that Neil has put up there and such, we do Prusa printers. And looking at his prints, we do have our Prusa Live contest that goes on for every episode. And before we kind of jump into this week's winners, we want to apologize that last week OBS, or last episode, OBS crashed on us, and we didn't quite get to. We didn't quite get to announcing all of last episode's winners. We kept on going. We finished the show.
Yeah.
We just didn't realize that you guys weren't hearing us at home. So we're going to take just a quick second to go back over the people who won from the last episode, so that they get their moment of credit that they well deserve.
That's a good idea. I mean, be sure that David Hewlett loved your prints. I'm so sorry that you couldn't see it, but he really loved them. So that happened. Okay, so let's go over that right now, I guess.
Yeah.
So why don't we just quickly go over what actually the stream still caught, and that's the third place. So this is where we ended up, and that was the Fab 365 folding Jeep by Indisam. So the second place that you unfortunately didn't see is by Jordan, and it's this amazing vase from like a color-changing silk filament.
Yeah, we were raving about the colors and how the color-changing filament is just perfect for this compared to other like more geometrical stuff.
Yeah, it just turns out as a beautiful effect, and
also the MMU front plate for the Mini, I like that too.
Yeah.
Not to mention the colors, like actually it's a good combination. I think it works together the like blue and orange.
Yeah.
Okay, and for the winner from the last stream, that's Nick Snyder and this absolutely incredible holiday print, where if I remember correctly, what I pointed out was the white sparkles in the red, which works it's so smart. It works so well like a snow on the roof, which is awesome.
Yeah, it gives the roof texture. It's like snow on the roof, or a little bit like the kind of the sand of tiles or of roof shingles or something like that. Like it totally takes it to another level.
It gives it a great texture, and combined with like very nice organic looking model. I mean, 99% of the people seeing it in the real life, they wouldn't even doubt that. They would never thought about 3D printing.
That's true. Yeah. This looks so good. I probably wouldn't have thought from the distance that it's 3D printed.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that this designer like continues on and over the next couple years we end up with an entire Christmas village kind of carried on from these designs.
We actually have Nick in chat. Woo! Nice, Nick.
Oh, wonderful.
That's you. Woo!
Congratulations.
Okay. So those were the last stream winners, and we do have 3 more for this stream. So let me just do my jingle jangle. OBS, don't crash, please. Pretty please.
Yeah, we got a lot of stream to go today.
Yeah.
That we don't want OBS to crash on us.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I don't mix the order. So this is the third. This is the third. The second, and this is the first. Oh my God, too many tabs. I'm sure I'm not the only one
Oh no.
Who's guilty of that. Okay, so I'm gonna triple check. Okay, I think we can go.
Okay.
Okay, so the third place, I really like. Maybe because I just finished Mandalorian, but
this was hard this week for sure.
Yeah.
I started watching Mandalorian during the weekend, and I must say it is as good as everyone tells me.
It's so good. Oh my God! If you haven't finished, have you finished it? Not yet.
No, I haven't finished it yet, but I mean, from my point of view, it is the best Star Wars I ever saw.
Yeah.
I I finished this season, and I might be the only person out there that's cranky about it. So
Really? Okay, we can chat about
yeah.
that later. I'm
Yeah,
looking
we'll chat
forward
about
to
it
that.
No spoilers.
Anyway, this is MP Carlo and his awesome lightsaber build. I actually put together like a super quick article about last minute gifts, and I think this is a great candidate for like a Star Wars fan who you forgot to get a gift, or if you just want to get him one more. Because even though...
I mean, but printing this nicely, I mean, it would be better have multiple printers, I would say.
It's like, it's a little bit of a crunch to get it done, but it's not super complicated, you know. It's like, 3 prints if you merge the prints by color. And it's not super difficult parts. They will probably print fine, even if you don't set it up perfectly. So it's doable still.
Yeah. And it's definitely a fun print.
Also,
but you guys have more time, right?
Oh yeah, they have one extra night, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Right, because Christmas for us is on Christmas Day on the 25th. I know. I've recently discovered that in the Czech Republic they celebrate Christmas Eve more than they celebrate Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And so yes, this is the eve of your Christmas Eve. So we appreciate you guys taking the time to be with us.
Yeah. I mean, tomorrow it starts, but yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Also, great choice of Prussia mint colors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it works very well.
Okay.
All right. So what do we have for number 2?
Number 2, and it's IR Blinks with this Christmas tree holder for like a candle. I guess you could use like a tea candle, but better use like the LED one. That's safer.
Right. Yeah. So IR Blanks has really been kind of rocking it with the Christmas tree prints this year.
Totally.
I actually have a couple of his other designs right here. His modern Christmas tree.
1 sec. I'm gonna make you full screen.
Okay.
Okay.
And this
That's
I have
a very famous model.
Yeah, I have it in the Mystic Green and I have it in the Oh My Gold. And they both look great. But there have been a ton of these being printed out there this year. I actually will call this personally. I will call this the seasonal print of the year. I've seen more of these going around social media and places than or in our Discord also than any other kind of holiday print. And I printed both of these in vase mode. They print so they're totally hollow. They print super fast. IR Blanks has really kind of been kicking butt with the holiday prints this year.
Okay, and are we going for the big winner for the holiday Christmas stream? And it's Tim Searles with his Grinch MMU print.
Yeah, this is so cute and it's so good.
Spot on colors.
Again, color choices are just spot on. It's really a great print.
Oh, nice. That looks, maybe, is it just the perspective?
No, we have the feature
I know,
that,
yeah, right?
You don't have to go to the height of the model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, also it's just red on top, so that helps too.
Right.
Yeah, it's so nice. So cute.
Good job.
Yeah, very adorable little model.
Tim, are you in the chat?
I don't know.
Oh, he is. Oh yeah, he is, and he's saying that he did use no sparse layers for the wipe tower. Well, so,
Hi, Tim.
Congrats, Tim. Awesome print. I mean, this model was like more suited for MMU printing, I guess. SLA printing with how like small it is, but actually it turned out pretty awesome with FDM. So impressive.
Very much so.
Okay, so that's it for this stream's picks from Prussia printers. Prussia Life. Oh no, actually, I'm mixing multiple things. It's just Prussia Life picks from Twitter.
So, are we going for another guest?
I think so.
Yeah, sorry, I was replying back to someone in the chat real quick. For those asking for the IR Blinks, the Christmas tree model, link to the Christmas tree model. I don't have that on me this very second, but I will add it to our Discord later. So if you join our Discord, and let's see, can I get you a Discord link? Yeah, there's a Discord link. If you join our Discord, I will make sure that this is in the Prusa Live channel after we're done with the show. For any of you guys that want to download it and print it. So otherwise, it's on Prusa printers. It's the modern Christmas tree by IR Blinks if you want to actually look
Nice.
all right, so we have our next guest for today's show. I don't think we need a huge introduction to this gentleman. I'm sure most of you all know Joel Telling, the 3D printing nerd, and he is going to talk a little bit about his Christmas picks. Let's see, Joel. Are you there? There he is.
Hey.
Hello.
Fantastic.
What's up?
Yeah, there you go.
Good morning. Good evening.
Yes, good whatever it is to everyone.
Good whatever it is.
And so it's getting late. It's getting late over in Prague, but it's still early for you.
It is. It is just before 1 o'clock here on the West Coast, Best Coast.
There you go. Okay. So Joel, when I got in touch with you and said, "Hey, why don't you come on the show?" We had a little talk, and I was like, "Why don't you just like show off some of your last minute Christmas present ideas, like things that you can print to give away as gifts?"
Yeah, well, and like you were talking about earlier, we do have a little bit more time here because we typically celebrate on Christmas Day, and it's it's a little past noon on the 23rd. Plenty of time. You want me just to like jump into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think that'd be great.
Okay.
Again, I don't think we have to do a lot of
mean,
intro for you because like people know who you are, right?
I mean,
Like,
the chat
I
was
don't know.
saying
Maybe
like
they
Joe Telling who? You know, right?
Yeah, I would understand. They should too.
I mean,
It should just be this hair, just kind of like countdown.
Joel,
Okay.
people want content. They don't just want to listen to us mumbling all the time.
I was enjoying it.
I'm completely convinced that everyone is just here just to see your shining face, Joe. That like the rest of us could just go away and kind of like those videos on YouTube of like a fireplace burning for 8 hours. It could just be you like smiling at people for.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't wish this to my.
I just need a 10-hour video of Joe sipping rum next to a fireplace.
Yes.
I'll see what I can
That'd be
do.
fantastic.
How long is it since we last drank rum? That is a long time.
Can't remember.
Let's see. I remember, was it Vegas for CES like 3 years ago?
Well, definitely be. But I mean, it just everything melts together because when we drink rum.
I was going to say, I have a hard time believing it wasn't Prague.
It was probably Prague Maker Fair.
A year ago,
Yeah.
Well,
Good times.
No, I think we saw each other after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know each other for a long time.
It's been a while. It's been a long time. There was I still remember the Mark II. I did my daughter Sydney did the little Pikachu army on the build plate when she did that print. That was probably one of my favorite times. I remember when you guys visited and we got to unbox the Mark II in my garage, and you were almost late for the airport. That was pretty good.
Almost missed the flight, and we were. I don't know how to say it gently, but there was sweat coming off my face everywhere because we were just sprinting from the airport. Sprinting.
Well, luckily,
Joel, I would be careful bringing up the Mark II. I know that there's some people around here that are a little unhappy with you on the Mark II from the most recent video. So we might want to keep that on the down.
Oh, true. Yeah, the thermistor. Why didn't you just take support like every other customer?
I saw a thumbnail, but I didn't have time to watch. Should I watch that video, guys?
No, please. No. But the Mark II is going to get upgraded.
Okay.
And played around with, and so it was almost like it was a spare part in waiting, right? It was right there.
I mean, you made an ancient Mark II with a heritage into like a donor printer.
It's going to. My goal was gonna do a bear upgrade with it.
All right, moving on. So, Joel, but before we go too deep into your bear downgrade, let's move on to.
Oh no, you're killing me.
Can I buy from you?
I will hold off on doing anything to the machine at all, and we will preserve it in all its glory. And I will do something else.
We are slowly getting into a stage that we try to keep like pieces of printers from like each of the era of the company, but sometimes we just realize we don't have them. So we are looking for the interesting printers from the earlier ages. So we value the printers with heritage.
I would way more. I would be way more happier if the printer could fulfill a space in your heart than if it could be changed in any way in my studio.
Aww.
So I will keep it as is.
I mean,
I will hold on to it for you.
It wasn't by any means anything against the bear upgrade. I'm just like, these machines, they are like my babies. And,
and I'm taking apart your baby. It's just putting it back together. I apologize.
No, you don't.
All right. So, Christmas prints, because we could go on forever.
We could.
There's a reason why I didn't write a lot of script for your section, because I was like, this is just gonna go off the rails. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean,
it happens.
I've learned my lesson after writing the script for David last episode. That
That was great.
See. Yeah.
From the chat, Joe needs rum.
Joe needs rum? Or did you say Joel needs rum?
The people have spoken.
I could, yeah.
I was going to say, tell YouTube policies that. So, yes.
So my first print, the first print that I would love to talk about as being a great gift, it's going to be that phone stand that went really popular.
Oh, yeah.
That I printed on the Mini. I remember everybody started printing that, and I laid out the challenge.
Oh my! I'm so lame.
Yes, you are. But besides the point.
It just it was magical in how the print turned out, and because it prints like this on the bed, and then the way these shapes kind of stick out, the way light casts shadows, and the way it just holds onto something so easily, whether it's in the back or the front, or the back or the front, whatever you want to call it. What I did though is I doubled the scale. And I went a little bit larger. And so not only does this hold devices, but you could imagine this as being a cookbook holder. You could put this in the kitchen and have a cookbook above the countertop while you're making something, or you could have your iPad here and you're watching the latest Prusa live while you're doing your cooking or whatever. You could easily switch it to this side and put whatever you're doing over here and have something up here, maybe a mount for a camera or something, and this could be your little platform. I love the look of it, and I wanted to see it a little bit larger, and I mean, it does not disappoint. I really enjoy this
awesome
model.
I've loved how. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe, do you cook?
Do I cook? Yeah. I took home ec at like the 9th grade. I know how to sew stuff and I know how to cook.
Yeah, because you just on the first go, you said this is perfect for a cookbook.
Yeah, I love, a nice clean counter in the kitchen. I don't get the chance to cook a lot right now. But I mean, do you guys know the channel Struggle Meals? Have you ever heard of it? Mm-mm. No. This guy, Frankie, what's his name? Frankie Silenzia, I think. His idea is doing cooking using ingredients you have, or reducing the cost of the per meal that you would do. Wonderful content, but something like this. If you have it up here on your counter, and you have Struggle Meals playing on your iPad, and you're putting something together. So just something like this. Plus, what's really great is any 3D print, you're going to be able to customize it in a way that other items wouldn't be customized, with multiple colors, multiple materials. I think, what was it? Graphitomi, right? Tommy on Twitter, he did this print, but he did some inlaid resin in here.
Yeah, I did laser cut wooden inlays.
That's right.
On mine.
nice.
That's
So it's
one of the
just,
things I really enjoyed about this print was all the fun ways that people found to customize it, like you're saying, like
Yeah.
people were doing different color infills and then not printing the flat sides so that you could see down into the infills. There were a lot of really great innovative prints that went on with that print.
I don't have mine. I did one where I did I didn't do any top or bottom layers, and when it printed, I had I think it was the circle sort of infill pattern, and so it almost turned it into a compliant mechanism because it was harder to move one way than the other because of the way the infill kind of was. So it was a fun experiment too.
Super neat.
All right. So there we go. That's the first one. First one available on PrusaPrinters.org, of course.
Link in chat.
The second one, let me have a sip of my.
Oh.
What's that?
What is that?
Oh, look at that.
Hey, is that?
This is a
Like
very, very simple print, but you can customize it in ways that really sort of make it a special gift. It's a very simple cup holder. It's got a wider base and it's got a hole at the bottom so there's no suction. And it kind of tapers like this. The original purpose for this was when I made my really big Open RCF1 car and I attached it to the car and drove it through the drive-thru at my local coffee shop and they put it in there. And so I was like, okay, well, this works out. Well, then obviously I can use it as a cup holder, especially if I'm using really hot coffee or like an Americano, which uses steam boiling water. Something like this, it's going to save your hands. It can be painted in ways that make it look cool and customized for any relative or friend. Plus, with the wider base, it really makes it appropriate to put on a desk. And so there have been times on my desk right here where I will accidentally knock something over because my hands are just flailing all over the place. And what this does is it keeps things a little bit safer because that wider base, it lowers the center of gravity and it makes things so they can't tip as much.
I like it.
And but it's one of those things where it's super simple, but it's got that really nice little curve right there. It's got a decent sized base, and you can customize it by scaling it in various ways to make it fit whatever sort of cup you want. I have been also little pens and pencils.
Of course, everything's a pen holder.
Everything.
First,
so that's go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
First thought when I saw it was like, that is like a rocket engine nozzle. And coincidentally, you put a cup with your jet fuel in it, coffee.
Okay.
It's true. But it worked out. This one is like a CF nylon, I think, when I printed it at the time. But I mean, any sort of really cool iridescent color would work, or one of those color changing filaments, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or you could just drink.
You could do manual
coffee.
color changes, right? And filament swaps and add all kinds of fun stripes and things like that. There's a lot of ways to personalize that. I do like the foot on it that also makes it so it's less tippy. I think that's a great aspect.
Chat is being super helpful. Or you could just drink cold coffee. Well, thanks, I guess. That's
cold coffee.
Who drinks?
Savages?
Yeah, exactly.
Matt, what's kind of cool though, with the hole at the bottom, just because this releases this, so there's no suction force holding it in.
That's smart.
But something like this, you could then use a screw and attach it anywhere in your workshop, and so you'd have a place to put your coffee that isn't going to knock over.
Yeah. No, I really like that idea because
you've knocked over stuff, haven't you?
Oh, same. I knock glasses over all the time. I hate it.
Yeah.
So this
out
sounds
in the
good.
garage workshop, it's way too easy to bonk stuff because you're like
so
pulling a big board or something like that.
If you want to hear the story of my week, so I also tipped something on my desk, and it was like a can from olives with the rest of the olive juice. And if everyone is a long time Mac user, you remember the MagSafe. It was great because you didn't knock anything over when you tripped on the thing. But Andre, my business partner, he bought us the new MagSafes for iPhone, and it just sucks because you cannot see that the iPhone is plugged in. And I just took off my phone and went for a meeting. And this big can of olive juice, I spilled it all over my keyboard and all on my shoes. And I just hate it because I remember the MagSafe on the MacBooks, old MacBooks, when they used to be good. It was wonderful. And this thing is just horrible. But
sounds horrible.
We need a system for securing cups on the tables.
There we go. See? You need to print one of these. Okay, so that's two. They are very multi-purpose, easy to print, great gifts. And this third one blows your mind. It's amazing.
My expectations are high.
I really hope you lower them a lot. So I tried to think of something that would be good as a gift that would be fun, and something that would work as a gift that maybe it's almost like if you give someone something as a gift that you and that person can then do together. Maybe you were to give them some sort of puzzle or something, and then you get to take the time to do it together. So what I've got is from a long time ago. Originally, my first venture into 3D printing back in the early days of 2015, I mean, not really that long ago, was making 3D printed cookie cutters. And so my third and final gift is a poop emoji cookie cutter.
My expectations are met.
It's a 3-inch cookie cutter. And in this one, the eyes and the mouth are set a little bit lower than the cutting edge, just because you don't want it to cut through. You want to make an eye and a mouth impression in the dough. Sugar cookies or like a darker dough sort of cookie would be great for something like this. You obviously frosted cookies, you can use frosting for the eyes and the mouth. It's one of those things where if you give it to someone, then you can also gift them some of your time to do an activity together. And or if it's not safe to do so, you can send that to someone and then have a virtual cookie making session together. Also, these work on Play-Doh really well, so you can make lots of fun shapes. And so if you have a bunch of different emojis that maybe you've 3D printed, you can then give those to someone with some young kids or people that like to play with Play-Doh, and they can make all sorts of fun shapes. But this was one of the first ones I ever designed myself. This was extracting shapes in Photoshop and then exporting a 3D model from Photoshop way back in the day. It's on Prussia printers right now. It's about an hour to an hour and a half to print. Super easy, and I highly suggest you do it.
I love it. It's great.
So that's my third pick. I know I could just say it's a poop emoji, but at the same time, there's a story behind it, and that story it evokes emotions, right? And the ability to want to spend time together, whether virtually or in person. And it's poop.
Absolutely. And a very fitting Christmas cookie for the year.
Joel,
exactly.
are you thinking about having like a stand-up comedy show?
No, absolutely not.
My
what are you talking about?
Gradation and ta-da.
Joe, we just all of these go together. I'm gonna have a cooking show. I'm gonna put my iPad here, and I'm gonna have my drink in here, and we're gonna make poop cookies.
So this year, for my girlfriend, I printed her the also cookie cutters, and they were like the skulls.
And, a nice holiday theme.
Yeah, yeah, but she doesn't like to hear that. She made one of each, but she did the traditional designs. But as we bake
gingerbread cookies here, and when they bake, they also kind of like splatter.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be like the derpiest skulls you've ever heard. And they were, the traditional designs, they didn't even stand a chance at it. So do you have a picture how the cookie looks when you bake the poop?
Boy, I might. Let me see if I have that. I mean, it's been years, literal years since I've
Joe,
does it?
Here we go.
Yeah. While Joel's looking at that,
that was quick.
There we go. Yeah.
Right, come on, focus on the poop. There we go.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's Play-Doh.
Yeah, that looks like it may be Play-Doh, but that's okay.
Well, what I would do, so I had an Etsy store where I sold these, and I would do tests in Play-Doh to verify that the cut worked and the shape worked, and then I would use those pictures on Etsy to sell them.
Smart.
Perfect.
It worked out really, really well.
So
And I had
there
a
was
lot of fun.
there was a question in the chat asking what would be the best filament to print cookie cutters out of. And I think we discussed this a little bit last week when Joe had a cookie cutter for his print of the week. And I see some people popping in already. Eric Zwimmen, I believe, saying that Petchy is the best. Yeah, I would go with Petchy. Our PC blend now has really good heat tolerance. PLA can work, but just be careful cleaning your cookie cutter with PLA, because the hot water is likely to potentially warp your cookie cutter.
So one of the things that I always told people about 3D printing and cookie cutters, they always asked if it was food safe, and I can't give a scientific answer, but typically with cookies, you're dealing with a mostly dry material, or at least not something like wet, like water or milk. It's dough. It has some moisture, but it's water and it's sugar. And so if you run it under lukewarm water pretty quickly, you should be able to clean it off. It's PLA. If you're really worried, you could one-time use it. I mean, it's an hour print. But like you said, PETGs, PC blends, stuff like that, it's going to have a little bit higher heat tolerance. You're probably going to be able to clean them a little bit better and have longer lasting cutters as well.
Yeah.
So from the bacteria hygiene standpoint, it really doesn't matter. But don't quote me on that, because you bake the cookies, and it basically sterilizes that. So if any bacteria clings on it, clings from the cookie cutter on the cookie itself, it should be fine. But obviously, last time we talked about it, there are much simpler solution than to coat it and in a food safe resin or something like that. I mean, you can just take a cling film and just stamp it through the cling film. Obviously, you will get as nice resolution if you want to have really intricate details, but
well, if you're really worried about safety in the kitchen and whether or not a cookie cutter is going to have bacteria on it that could make you sick, I'm just thinking out loud. My guess is the tools you're using to make the dough and your countertop are probably dirtier than the cookie cutter itself.
Right.
I mean, that's often what I see, like kind of mixing like something being sterile and like food safe. Like there's bacteria kind of on everything all the time.
Well, and you're just doing it for yourself. If you were selling this as a business, I'm assuming you would be under different regulations. But like this is, if you're just making cookies yourself, I pick stuff off the floor and eaten it. I mean, I can't breathe.
5-second rule. But by any chance, Ben, if we are talking about the bacteria in the household, do you know what is like the filthiest item in the whole, whole house?
Phone is good.
Is it this?
No, it's the sponge in the kitchen, because it is always wet.
I've heard that.
I hate wet sponges in a sink.
Yeah.
I've actually I think is it fish?
And then if you take a dirty plate, you just do this, and you don't even properly wash it, and you happily eat out of it, but it is just like the petri dish for everything.
You tend to be able to microwave them from time to time.
Oh yeah,
too.
There we go. Yeah,
this might help.
That is one of my featured prints.
Yeah.
Let's switch it.
Oh, you have it. Okay. Also, Joe, maybe you have the cookies, the Prussia cookies that Vercha cooked, baked. No? Yes.
The what? What?
Last time Joe had like these awesome like open hardware logos and Prussia frame and a hot end cookie cutters.
I ate them.
Aw, come on.
Yeah, this is my filthy sponge.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh,
you have a nice sponge. It's got handles on the side. Like you can grip it. It's not just a flat sponge. It's got some
fancy sponge.
Some details to it. So you could really get in there.
Joe and his fancy sponges. So before we kind of wrap this up, Joel, this isn't going to be the only live stream for you today, right?
No, it is not. I've had a lot of people, including the kind people at Prussia, you may know them, reach out and donate and sponsor prizes for what I'm calling my massive annual holiday giveaway stream. I just tabulated everything because people just kept giving stuff, and we have over $30,000 in prizes to give away in less than 5 hours.
Yeah,
$30,000.
You have 5-hour stream.
I hope it's less than 5, but there's going to be here. Let's see. I have the spreadsheet right here, and if I do this, I'm going to have 137 different winners.
Wow! You hear that, chat?
That's fantastic.
And I will spoil something for the chat. So the Matt, Joe, Mikolash, that Prusa has donated. I mean, I just want to make sure I have this right. I don't want to misquote anything. I have to find it.
I can say it. I know what it is.
Okay, go ahead, say it. Matt, what has Prusa sponsored as a prize for the massive annual holiday giveaway?
Yeah, so one lucky winner is going to go home with a Prusa Mini. And so that's a nice little Christmas present. It'll take a little while to get to you, but there's a Prusa Mini, and we also have 10 spools of
10.
Prusa Mint Orange Pet G up for the winners too. So yeah.
So Prusa, once the Prusa part of the giveaway happens, you're going to be entered to win a Prusa Mini and 10 spools of Pet G. It's going to be a Prusa prize pack. And it's just one of the many things that are going to be given away. But thank you everybody for making this possible. And thanks for the mini and the 10 spools of orange Pet G from Prusa. I love it.
Yeah, we're super excited.
That's going to be 6 p.m. Pacific. Right now it's 1:16. So like 4 hours, 45 minutes is when we'll start the festivities.
Fantastic.
That is like 4 in the a.m. here.
Yes.
I know. I'm sorry. But it's early enough for me, so
I mean, I cannot win the pack down.
You could. I mean, you could win other packs. There's other stuff up here that you would love to win.
Yeah, but I would have to wake up at the 4. Or how do people apply for this?
I'll tell you right now. So, I'll reiterate it from my stream, but essentially what I'm going to do, it's not an enter once and then I draw from all of this, because each of the prizes I want everybody to have a chance at. During the stream, I'm going to open entry for a prize pack for 5 minutes and then close it off and then draw a winner or a number of winners. And then for the next one, I will open it up for 5 minutes and then draw winners and then 5 minutes and then open it up. So that way, people who have just joined have a chance at winning stuff. And then people who joined later have a chance at winning stuff. And this way, everybody has a chance at everything. And it should be the easiest way to do it. It's just even at 5 minutes for entry periods and then announcing the winners, we're still looking at streaming for like 4 to 5 hours.
And is it US only?
It is international. I do have some US only prizes just because certain things are going to cost a lot to ship. And
get it.
It's really hard, I guess, for some companies to ship to the UK because of some Brexit policies. So some of those.
We had to stop shipping to UK now.
Yeah, you and a lot of other people. But I have some US only, and I have a whole bunch of international.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I think we can drop ship. It doesn't have to go to you, and it can go directly to the winner, I guess.
Right, that's the goal. I'm going to provide Matt with a winner name and email, and then he's going to take care of everything because he's awesome.
But I like the idea that you are drawing the winner, every 5 minutes, because the suspense would killing the people for 5 hours, and then you would have to announce like how many prizes you said
137.
137 names. So
right, that'd be boring. Yeah, that'd be boring. So we're not going to do that. We're going to make it awesome.
Nice planning. I'll try to join if I'm still up.
Just take a nap or just keep drinking. One of the two.
I haven't started drinking.
Maybe you should, right?
Well, it won't be too late for me, so I will try to tune in and check some of it out for sure.
Oh, fantastic! I appreciate that, man.
So Joel, it has been a pleasure having you on the show.
This was a bunch of fun. I know you talked about everybody coming back at the end. I do have some things I have to button up, so I won't be able to join you for that.
Cool.
But just letting me come on and hang out with you guys, it was a blessing and a joy, and I really appreciate it. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Yeah,
I cannot
have a
wait
happy
to
holiday.
see you in real time sometime soon.
Yes.
Nice to
Someday
see you.
soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Joel.
See ya.
Oh, fun times.
Shame he couldn't join us, but we'll forgive him.
The last time he was in Prague was so much fun. I think that was Maker Faire Prague.
Yep.
It was so
Yeah.
much
we
fun.
were all there
with
last June.
Booch and Maker Noob and just everyone. It was so fun.
Yes, that was a wonderful Maker Faire.
Good times.
I cannot wait for the next one that's actually going to be like a real Maker Faire.
We were planning it, but I mean,
Right.
we are realists, so it's not going to happen in 2021, most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we will see when we finally get there again, hopefully. So, okay, Mickey, you wanted to take a few questions here before we got a hold of our.
I am scouting
our next
scouting
guest.
the chat. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
have one that we already kind of touched on a little bit. And
Okay.
I think would be good to clarify from, and it came from Twitter earlier, from Spaghetti-U, or something along that line.
Okay.
He just said he got his Mark III S Plus, and he's super happy with it. But he wants to know what the deal is with shipping to the UK and if it will continue through the Brexit issue, so he can get a hold of more Prusa mint. And so I think clarifying that a little bit for our listeners would be great.
it is very temporary because, well, right now, because of the new COVID strain, the ground transportation is basically gridlock. Also, well, there's the Brexit happening at the same time. So, for example, DHL just told us they are stopping to ship ground shipping. So if we had any order spending, with paid ground shipping, we have to upgrade it to like flying. And also, nobody really knows what is going to happen with like the VATs and stuff. So we got something which we should register to, but it, sort of works, sort of doesn't. So we can't register there. So we don't even know if we ship something to UK, how legal it would be in January. So it is a huge mess. So we are trying to ship as much UK orders before the end of the year. But well, let's hope for a deal. So this mess is over with.
I have a really one that we should probably go over maybe once more at the end. Prussia Slicer, final version. So release candidate number 2 is live on GitHub, and like most likely the final version is that version. Like we will probably just rename it and ship it as the final version, unless we find some like kind of big bug, and in that case we would still fix it and make the few changes. But most likely the RC2, the release candidate number 2, is pretty much the final version. I hear that it's running really well for people so far. I haven't heard about anyone crashing it or something like that. I'm not sure. We are probably gonna do the actual release in January, I guess. Like the first week of January or something. I don't know.
So sorry, I just saw that people are already grilling me about the bear upgrade.
Prussia Slicer final release. I guess we're gonna leave that for January, right? It's nice to have the release candidate out for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we are not trying to rush it because the development was kind of long, and we don't want to, because we want to rush it for a couple of days to have like the buggy final release and having to do another fixed release just right after that. But when I spoke with Wojciech, we are planning 2.3.1 at the end of January or something, which will have the native Apple M1 build for the ARM, which is pretty snappy.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if you can't wait, like I would say the current version on GitHub, the RC2 is basically stable, so you can totally use it even if you wanted to wait for a stable version. This is very much like stable already. So if you don't want to wait.
and we could definitely use your help. The only way that we can know that it is stable and that it is working and that all the bugs are out there is getting as many hands on it as possible. So it would be great if you guys downloaded it, ran it, and if you run into any problems, report those in on GitHub so that the developers know that there's issues and we can get those fixed as soon as possible and get ready to have the final version.
Keep in mind, it's like good and bad at the same time that the release candidate already uses the folder with the settings the same as the final version. So you will probably have to, if you've used alphas on betas, you will have to move your configs if you've made any. And if you don't want to set up anything twice, if you set it up in release candidate, everything is the same folder, or all the settings will be ported to the final version automatically, basically. So that is that. Also,
fantastic.
Just I don't know if you've ever told it, but there will be a new installer for Prussia Slicer, which is kind of exciting, at least for me.
I mean, yeah. Nicholas, I will be honest, that is exciting for you and nobody else.
Really?
Yeah, not a lot of people get super excited about installers.
It is auto updating.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So
yeah, but it is the installer auto updating. You have to run the installer and it. No, maybe it's in the app, right?
No, you don't. You just run Prussia Slicer like on your desktop, and if we release a new version, it will pull it from.
Well, so it works on the Windows.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring in our third and final guest for this show for this evening. Our final guest of the year, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is our last stream of 2020 and our last guest of the year,
and of season 1 of Prussia Live. I mean, this is it.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Fantastic. So joining us now is Jason Babler from 2K Games. I'm bringing him on in here. Jason, there he is. I was so afraid that it would just pop it up with a.
I've been so afraid of it too. How is everybody?
Howdy. So to get out of the way, Jason and I go back quite a ways. Jason actually used to be my boss over at Make Magazine.
Let's not call me a boss.
I didn't say you were bossy. I just said yeah. And so Jason and I worked together on some of the original 3D printing issues and digital fabrication issues over at Make. And now you are with 2K Games, making amazing sculptures of video game characters.
Yeah. So I don't know if chronologically, I got exposed to 3D printing through Make Magazine, right? So I was a creative director there, and seeing you and all these budding tinkerists, right? Like bringing this magic box to the table and like creating things was just like, what is this, right? And this is what back in
2000, the first issue of Digifab, or the first issue of 3D printing was 2012. I was involved in the 2013 issue.
There you go. So, and really, I've always kind of worked with my hands too, but traditionally I'm a graphic artist, right? So I'm into the design world, and I design on a computer. And for a while I made some iPhone games. So I made really low poly models in Maya, like over 15 years ago, for iPhone games. But really I've been sculpting traditionally because I like to get out from behind the computer. And this world of 3D printing, even though I was managing as a creative director, all these people like Matt, you, and all of the amazing testers that you bring in from all over the world, I still was kind of I was like hands off. I was managing it. I was making a magazine. I enjoyed it, but I never truly appreciated it until I got my first Prusa a couple of years ago. And the reason I finally dug into it is not only was I a sculptor, but I wanted to do some things that would be faster than me sculpting traditionally. And at the time, I was working for 2K, and I'm in charge of Borderlands 2. This is before we announced Borderlands 3. And I had no budget, right? And we're like, how do we make content to get the audience, kind of, reinvigorated?
Yeah.
So that they're there when we're about to announce Borderlands 3, which is of course hush hush at the time. And I'm like, I'm gonna buy his 3D printer. And the Borderlands fan base is rabid. They cosplay. I think they're one of the most involved cosplayers outside of maybe Warcraft, the Blizzard IPs. They're totally devout. And there's this DIY nature. I'm like, well, I can figure that out, right? And so I started looking at things that were in the Borderlands world. And I'm like, well, what's something nobody's ever done before? How can we do giveaways, right? And 3D printing allowed me to do that because Gearbox, the maker of Borderlands, 2K is just the publisher, right? They had all these great models. And I'm like, well, what if we printed these out? Nobody's, a lot of people have made the psycho masks, but we have the actual model of all these characters. And that's really what kind of led me down introducing 3D printing to 2K games. And again, I'm on the marketing side. I'm not on the development side, but I can talk about that a little bit later. And so, I don't know, do you want me to do a little show and tell about some of the stuff
Yeah, please
that
do.
we've given away over the years?
Can we get some of the models on Prussia printers?
I'm not in charge of that, but maybe, right? So I really like this character, Krieg. He's the psycho from Borderlands. And so, again, I take these big ZBrush. I work in ZBrush, right? I'm an organic modeler, more than mechanical. They can do mechanical hard edge modeling. But ZBrush is, these are the models I would have. They're not made for 3D printing, right? Like when an artist makes them for fidelity, right? I spend and I had to figure that out. Like how do I make this thing? Not that it's printed in resin, but how do I make it watertight and 3D printable, right? So that was a whole learning curve. But anyways, I printed out and made my own custom base here of Krieg, and I would film it. I would film 3D printing it, painting it, and put it up on social. And bam, audience was like, "Oh my God, how do I get that? How do I get that?" So we started doing smaller projects, right, and giving them away. And you can see some of that stuff on my website or in my Instagram. Just search for Jason Babler. You'll see a lot of that stuff. But that's really what, the first time I dipped my toes in it, audience just ate it up. And I'm like, okay, so for the cost of a 3D printer, which I own, 2K would buy the filament and I would just be able to make some really amazing content. And that's really before the big marketing budget that, that these big AAA games, before that came in for Borderlands 3, this is how we really grew our channels, our social channels, and talked to them, and I think in a really authentic way. Like these fans, I was making stuff that fans make or want to make. And I think that's really the testament to, just being a fanboy yourself. And, Prusa, I talked to Matt, this was 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, okay, you're talking about this Prusa thing, man. I don't know if I can build a kit. And I built it. I built the kit and it was a workhorse. And the only thing that stopped me from using it lately is I think I got the 2S and I got the 2.5 upgrade, and I think I screwed something too tight and it broke, and now I have to go back and reprint it to finally get my Prusa back and ready.
We can make sure that happens.
I love when
that was just user error. I'm like, I think I messed this up, but I have to go back and reprint the part. But Prusa, it was amazing. I leveled it once, and I don't think I touched it for 3 years. Nah, I mean, it's overstatement, but not really. It was just an amazing machine, which is why I love you guys so much. So, I don't know. As I walk around to some of this other stuff, I did some pretty big stuff on the Prusa. I don't know if you can see this. This is a huge Varkid insect that's in the game. And I printed it, and obviously multiple parts, legs, glued it together, painted it. And this was in a little content piece for Borderlands 2 about fake products. And you saw it flipped upside down, and in the video I made it shake like it was dead. But I printed out the darn thing, and it showed up for 2 seconds, but that's the way of film, right? But I have it now and I love it. And that's my Varkid, all in the Prusa. So I took some of the stuff that we did in Borderlands and kind of took it over to XCOM 2, which was it's kind of a sci-fi RTS game. And this is one of the cool helmets when we upgraded. Quasi, mystical energy, but using some translucent. This part right here was translucent. I painted over it, but did a little video on that, and it's just, look at that. I hardly did any sanding on that. Oops.
There's something about seeing props from games in real life. I love when I've been to Gamescom a few times, and I love when companies do of course we fans do it, but we just make the models ourselves. It's like janky a little bit, but you have the access to the original files. Like you say, you have to fix them, right? But it's so awesome to see you do it.
Yeah, but it's the actual models, like the high-res versions
Yeah.
where the low-poly models are made from, but the fidelity is perfect, right? And I'm just rambling, but you guys stop me if you have questions.
No, this is perfect.
I do have some of the pictures that you sent me. The
so
mask.
again, what do we do with, like, 3D modeling is big and is obviously how things are made in video games. But if you're a 3D printer, you know, there's not a lot of work in video games themselves, right? If you want to 3D print, right? I mean, we do it more of a hobby. I did it for marketing reasons, right? But really, if you really love video games, you love 3D modeling, you love 3D printing, the world of licensing is where this has just exploded, right? So for instance, you know, like I didn't have time. We gave Sean Thorson, Matt, you know him, he's a prop maker here, a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And we had a Borderlands video, an actual TV commercial that we wanted to film, but we needed a bunch of, you know, masks. I'm like, listen, here's the actual model, go make it. And so he 3D printed it. And then he of course had to do some leather strapping and stuff like that. But because of that one model, we're able to make, you know, like a wearable mask. We made these as giveaways. It's a little, remember those old Halloween styrene masks?
Yeah.
We made a bunch of these for, maybe it was a PAX thing. And, but it's, you know, all the same model, right? Just printed out differently and used to make these. We used that.
So did you make a buck for those and then vacuum form them? Is that the idea?
I'm sure they did. Yeah. Like that's an external. Yeah. But that's really what they did. Right.
Yeah.
In the UK, we had these limited edition press pass things. And of course, that's, again, the same model, just sort of squished. And again, that's kind of like looks like it was buck molded and just put on there. But inside of there, the company that we hired, I don't have all the details on it. I don't remember, I should say, but we included, I don't know if you remember in Borderlands 3, there was this walking gun that was in one of our commercials. It was a gun that walked. You fired it, you threw it, and it would walk and shoot at stuff.
Yeah.
And it was the fans loved it. Well, the company we hired made a resin print of it and then made molds of it and made copies. I can tell that they used a resin printer because I can see the layer lines in it still, but they did mold it. And then you could put this together in that kit itself. And it was a gun that, you know, it's kind of the walking gun model, I guess. And then when we made this was cool. When we made the collector's edition of Borderlands 3, it was this huge box. Let me get it for you. I'm right here. In this gigantic box came a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to show you some of the stuff because 3D printing went into that, right? So when you bought it, I did the paint masters for these two. So inside of that thing was a box of all the vault keys, and the vault keys we turned into keychains. And these were we got all of the prototypes 3D printed, right? So we got it that rapid prototype. We got it approved. They did the paint job and then we approved them. In that box also, if you guys really love it, you need to get the collector's edition, but they're hard to find. We also did 12 little figurines. And when they came, we didn't have time to get them painted from a production point of view, but we have 12 of all the main characters, which was here. So again, licensing is where, you know, the intersection of all this stuff really comes together. I don't know. So that's the brief amount of, you know, 3D printing that I've done for and been involved with, at least for Borderlands. So
I'm starting to have an urge to buy, you know, a little game on PS Store now.
I can have.
What was its
I'll send
name?
you my collector's edition. You send me that PS5.
I mean, speaking about how Borderlands fans are like, you know, crazy and everything, like I may be a little bit in that group. So yeah, we made a whole video. It's like, I don't know, 11 minutes long, like a whole tutorial on how to make this claptrap. And I think very soon we're gonna release a video where we show like a life-sized one, which is now sitting in the lobby. And he has a button on top, and if you smash it, there are like 20 preloaded voice lines. and
Yes.
it was so hilarious. We had it in the hallway in front of our office, and just the whole day I kept hearing it, and it didn't get old. It's so funny.
That's
He's
Hot
such a
Trap-
funny
Hot Trap.
character.
He's one of my favorite video game characters. I mean, obviously, I got to do a little part of the game, right? Like I had to work on the marketing of it, but I love Borderlands before I worked at 2K. So
Yeah.
what can I say?
Coming to Pandora. Won't happen again. I
I
promise.
love it.
He's so good.
Dang, my bad. I sound pleased about this.
I don't know.
It's only because my
I sent you a
program
link
is
for
fixing
again 3D printing, right? We had for E3 of this last year, before COVID hit. We were at E3 where we launched the game, and we had giant statues made by Thingergy down in LA. And I think there one of those links. I don't know if you have it. You can see how big they were, like 10 foot tall sculptures. So they were not life size. They were bigger than that. And
Oh yeah,
they again used our 3D models and just Google Thingergy and maybe there they are. So those are the two villains, the Calypso twins. He's at least 10 feet tall.
that's
and-
crazy.
They did everything on this. They 3D printed mechanical parts. They took a CNC to the styrofoam and then built huge molds from there for that big sword. They sculpted the face with clay and made molds. A lot of pretty much the majority of the mechanical parts, if I remember, a lot of them were just simply 3D printed. So this was amazing to work on. I got to fly down when they were making it, and we did a little bit of a promotion around them too. As they were being made, we used to run a couple videos of it. It's pretty amazing. Just seeing what the fans do, what the licensing can do now, is just phenomenal. But really, that's trickling down to like fanboys like us that, if you take the time, if you want to model or you get somebody who's made a nice model, you can come up with, your own fan version of it. And, I don't want to speak for 2K. I don't want to speak for video game makers, but in general, our fans, we want to help them out. That's why we give them cosplay guides. Like, we want you to just explore to whatever depth you have, right? Our world in the real world. And that's really what fandom is all about. We don't want customers. We want fans, and that's what we are. We're fans of our own games. And that's why we get excited about this shit. So
I love when and I would say so far most like game developers and the companies are cool about it. Like, I hope they see the potential of us fanboying about it and printing it. That like this basically is like marketing for the game and for the universe.
I mean, when lawyers get involved is because people are trying to make a buck off of something.
I get that. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, again, I'm not speaking for 2K. I'm not speaking for our lawyers. But if I make a sculpture of something, they're not going to be. We're not mad about that, right? But if you try to, obviously make it and stuff like that, that's where the fine line. That's where the cease and desist letters come in. So
I think all of us are on the same page on this, because mostly you have like the most dedicated dedicated fans, which who are making the wonderful models, and they share them for free. So that is fine. And then someone not very good takes the model and starts selling it on Etsy, and it's a non-commercial license, and it is your IP. So both of our groups don't like these people. So
right. But we've there are prop makers and cosplayers that have used our properties to make a costume, and they go out and they it's free advertising, yes, but we've actually reached out to those folks that are not trying to sell it without a license, and we've tapped them to do promotions and to make things for us, and so it works out in the end. If you're a fan, we're going to see you, and if you play by the rules, I guess, if I had to put my lawyer hat on, which I never have ever owned, it just makes it easier for us to work with you as a company, so.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what we do when we are looking people to do co-ops with. We look into the community, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
there's a comment in the chat here that says it's like they designed Borderlands for cosplay.
They do, like honestly, a lot of parts of the, if you only see a character on screen, right, and there's a lot of detail you don't have to add. right? If you're just playing a character,
Right.
especially like a first-person shooter, sometimes you're only seeing hands and a gun. But the care that especially like Gearbox puts in the detail and the history and the lore that they put into these characters, the ability to zoom in on a model, like the big ZBrush models, are just fantastic because you're like, oh my God, I didn't see that. I didn't see that, But that's why we published the cosplay guides. We made renders, we did turnarounds, and then I designed them, like 10-page PDFs of, turntable renders of the characters. And we even gave like the color values, like this is kind of this type of texture, big close-ups of the weapons, and we just gave it out there. Like fans go crazy with it. We hope to see at cons. Of course, COVID stopped that a little bit, but it'll live on. And that's why I don't Gearbox and 2K. We really love our fans. We try to do what we can to give them everything that they need to explore their fandom.
Yeah. I will have to try it out. I never played Borderlands.
Oh,
It has very like unique aesthetic, I guess. It's cell shaded, so like as you've seen, it has these like dark lines, and it's I don't know. I find it very very interesting.
It's like playing a comic book.
Yeah.
I know how it looks because
Yeah.
I'm like the biggest nerd and I watched every Digital
Sure.
Foundry video.
Yeah.
So I know everything about the performance of Borderlands.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, Matt. I don't know if you have any questions. I can keep rambling though.
I mean, we've covered most of them. I mean, I think what would be awesome is, it would be wonderful to talk to some of the other people at 2K and see if we could get a 2K section on Prusa printers and get some more models out there for the fans. And
Let me connect the dots after the holidays, and we'll see what the lawyers have to say about it, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Matt,
Exactly.
what's the timeline? We have still like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we have like four or 5 minutes left with Jake.
Just reminded me that in the beginning of the stream we talked about sculpting, and now we actually have like a pro sculptor here with us. So I'm curious. You said you like physical sculpting. How's like how does it compare digital and like actual real life sculpting?
before I got into ZBrush and 3D modeling, I was like, oh God, 3D sculpting is just too hard for me to learn, right? Like, plus I didn't want to be behind the computer. Now I go to now that I'm 3D sculpting, I'm like, God, clay sculpting is really hard, you know.
No undo.
Can I show you a little bit like how I joined the two? So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, please.
So
I will add a little story here in that the very first digital fabrication issue that we did at Make, and we were out in San Francisco for it. Jason was there the entire time, sculpting like a Doc Ock like physical sculpture for something to do while the rest of us were running around running these 3D printers. So
well, that's funny you brought that up. This was not planned. This is what it's turned into. This is all hand sculpted. I'll get to the 3D printing part first. So in the Star Wars Christmas edition, which aired only once, it's Boba Fett's original appearance, right? The first appearance of Boba Fett was in there, and he's riding this water lizard thing, and he's fighting off another water lizard. And I always thought, as cheesy as that scene was, I wanted a kind of a more realistic version of that scene. So I've started to sculpt the two monsters, and Boba Fett's going to go right here, and he's going to be leaning back, shooting at that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is all hand. This is going to be a one of a kind. There's going to be water effects, but I've sculpted this in person. But Boba Fett will absolutely be 3D printed because of the detail and the size, right? So that's one way that
Smart.
I'm combining 3D. Yeah, exactly, right. But in a more interesting way is. This is something that's a work in progress. I've never shown this off. I've got an original design of this. I'm calling it a Hell Knight. And I started experimenting in clay, and I'm like, oh, it's, I'm just kind of, takes too long sometimes to just experiment in clay if you're using a clay that is hard at room temperature, right? And you have to sit and warm it up, and then you have to adjust it. So I started playing around in ZBrush. Well, what does this thing kind of look like? And there were parts of it that I really liked. But since it's big and it's too big for a resin printer, at least at the cost that it would, I couldn't afford, a huge sculpture like that printed out in resin. I figured, well, I'll add the detail later. And so what you're going to see here is kind of a work in progress. I've taken a 3D sculpt. This is kind of a skull guy with these, I don't know, monster thingies. but I actually printed it out, and now I'm adding clay to it.
Oh.
And the clay will allow me to get the details, because this is hard clay at room temperature. I'll be able to really get the crazy amount of details that I like to get in there. All of these parts will be, I'll have a little bit of clay added to it, or even possibly hard wax to get that final detail. Cast and mold this when it's done. But I sped up the prototyping stage, the idea exploration stage in 3D printing, did a really fast printout.
It makes so much sense when you say it, but I've never seen or heard anyone do it.
So I got the idea years ago. Again, call out to, I think I might have linked to him, I don't know. Brian Fay, he was a traditional sculptor at Blizzard. Now he's both. He has sculpted a lot of the Blizzard statues. And on his Instagram, Brian Fay, F-A-Y, I believe, you'll see his work in progress, the Illidan and some of the other Diablo sculptures. I'm a huge Blizzard fan, so that's why I followed him. And he used 3D printing. He took really hard wax and would make a waste mold of the 3D print, pour wax in there, get the detail down, cut that apart, and go and send that to the, probably the statue production company over in China or wherever they had it made, right? And I'm like, well, that's genius, right? And as he progressed into 3D modeling more, he's doing more and more. And with Blizzard, right, and their big budgets, I'm sure they've got all the resin printers that they want. Now he's only spending 10% of his time in traditional materials, finishing up and sometimes tweaking by hand to give that asymmetry look, I'm sure, to get the tiniest details in there, finishing up the sculptures in parts, and then they send those off to be molded. So yeah, it's fascinating. I'm kind of, I don't know of a lot of people. You have to make sure the clay, if it's not too hot when you pour it on, I work in PLA because it's easy. Doesn't melt it, but of course you really don't care at that point in time if it melts details, because I just want the form of his rib cage and the top part of his mouth and all this stuff. So brush on liquid clay, it hardens. You get to go in and tweak it with details, and it's the best of both worlds in my opinion.
I remember something similar, but this is obviously much more convenient. But I remember maybe it was a Kickstarter, but someone was making clay filament, which after you print it, then you can go in. But obviously that huge print would be still, I guess, very expensive.
His name was Adam Bean, B-E-A-N-E. He was at one of the Maker Fairs. Remember, Matt?
Yep.
Years ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
He kickstarted his own version of wax, which I bought. It's great carving wax. You melt it in a little skillet, pour it on. It's flexible. If you heat it up with a heat gun, you could etch in really great details. And yeah, his next big project was using that wax in a filament. I don't think he ever made it to Kickstarter. I think he had some health problems or something like that stopped him from sculpting for a while. But I think he's coming back. I don't know him personally, but I met him and followed him for years. But yeah, it was fascinating. I was like, yeah, I can't wait for that. And of course, nobody's really done it, but the fidelity of these 3D printers are so good sometimes. Like I'm making a board game with a friend right now in our spare time, and again, a really small. I'm trying to prototype this little character. He's his name's Dung Dung. He's a dung beetle, and again, he's pretty amazing, right? Detail, but then I'm like, well, it's pretty easy for me to just scale him up and make a nice big version of him, right?
Right.
And this may be a Kickstarter, upgrade or something like that. Like if but try to do that traditionally sculpting, right? Like I could have easily have sculpted him traditionally, but I can't turn around, scale him up, and make another version, in 24 hours. That it's a whole new sculpt at that point in time. So
yeah,
again, I love both worlds really. So
is it helpful in digital sculpting that you can basically make like a checkpoints in the design?
Yes.
That okay, now I will try this direction, but then you find out it's not working, so you go back and go another. Because with traditional sculpting, with clay, but you don't have that, right?
No, you don't. I mean, posing something, if you've got Wolverine or whatever in a stance, and especially if you're working for somebody, it's different if you're doing it for yourself. And they're like, hey, can you do that? Turn your head. It's like, well, that's 8 hours of cutting apart, or redoing and re-sculpting muscles. in ZBrush or something, that's usually a half hour. I might be over exaggerating, but honestly, it's that easy, right? You can, especially if you're working as a T-pose, I don't have to, I made this 8-legged creature one time, and one leg was pretty much how all the legs looked. They were just in different angles. I had to sculpt every single one, or, then cut it, make a resin cast, cut it, break it apart, re-glue it. I could have done that so much easier in 3D modeling, So.
I was going to ask that. Basically, if you are doing it by hand, you are doing twice the work. If you are making a humanoid, you at least start with the mirror image, and then nobody has, nobody's perfectly symmetrical, but you will start with that, and then you curve his face on one side, and do the differences. But I guess it might save some time too.
Yeah, and there's always the debate: is 3D modeling is that cheating and traditional sculpting? And I'm like, listen, you still need an eye for it. You're just using a different set of tools. So I don't I really hate that argument, because you still need a design eye. Yes, some things make it easy to make arms symmetrical. You can just duplicate it. You don't have to spend that time. But you still need to know how to make one of them right. You still need to pose it right. It still has to have fluidity and some tension in the sculpt.
Using a different set of tools.
Yeah.
So I don't like.
So I'm starting to pull Neil back in.
Okay.
We've got 5 minutes left in the stream. And we said we would bring him back.
Hey, Neil.
Here's Neil.
Hi again.
Ew.
Hello.
So we've got a couple minutes to take questions. I will say that Aaron York has pointed out, and I remember that there was another one, but I couldn't exactly remember. But Poralay makes a mold lay, which is like a wax like filament that did actually come to market. So it's one of the high-porosity materials.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna note that.
So again, Prussia Slicer 2.3 will come out. The final version probably first 2 weeks of January, but the RC2 version on GitHub is basically already the final version. It's really stable, so you can use that. I've seen someone ask about Prussia Connect. We just got a Christmas build to test and play with. So some really nice improvements. I'm not sure when we are gonna show it. Joe, do you have any timeline on that?
So we had a big meeting, actually yesterday.
Okay.
My time at this time of year, my time perception is all wonky. It seemed like a week ago, but it was yesterday. We had a demo, so it seems like we might have closed beta at the end of January.
Okay, interesting.
We're testing the basic stuff.
So Balu wants to turn Neil3DPrints characters into a video game, or sorry, into some form of a game. I think yes, a board game based on some of your characters would be a blast.
Really?
That sounds really cool.
Do any of you guys have any questions for our guests, for Jason or Neil?
Yes, please.
Let us know.
XL updates.
Keeping them around.
No. Sorry. I mean, if you've missed the big XL news, then you should read the November update on Prussia printers, or what was it?
Yeah, or watch the Prusa Live episode 14, 2 episodes ago, where we talked.
Just briefly, don't expect a lot of information, but a little.
Yes. Nicholas wants to know if you can make a puzzle game, Neil.
Make a puzzle game.
That's
some
true.
kind of puzzle game. That's all they said. Is
actually, Jason.
Neil, can you make a puzzle game?
Yeah, you've seen this one, right? It's like
I want to hold that so badly right now.
A crossover of SL1 and Claptrap. It's awesome.
Yeah, I would actually say putting together any of your models, although they're well documented, is kind of like putting together a puzzle in and of itself. So,
that's true.
It's a 3D puzzle.
I can certainly add it to my to design list, so I can add puzzle onto it. So it isn't something I've really considered before. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Will there
a 3D sort of version of a puzzle? That'd be cool.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Will there be an update ever for Mark IIIS and Mark IIIS Plus? Yes. Yes, we keep updating our printers. I sure hope that there will be another update.
Yeah.
I don't have any new features in mind right away that the devs are working on, but sure, like expect new firmware. What do we have? Satin sheet availability. Next.
Well, I think there new batch came in, and we are writing to the guys who were caught up in the first like hour or two in the eShop, which was basically DDoSed by order.
It died so
so
quick.
we are reaching to those who were caught up in that, and they will have like the priority option to get these first.
Will there be a satin sheet for the mini? Yes, there will.
Yeah, it's coming. All right, I think that's probably our show. Looking at the time here, I want to thank all of our guests that came on.
Yes.
Neil, Joel, who's gone now, Jason, obviously. Thank you for making this special holiday edition of the show, extra special with all of your time and all of your knowledge.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And from the entire Prusa team, we really hope that you all have a happy and safe holiday. Stay home, stay safe. And we can't wait to see you guys again in the new year with, as Miklas is saying, season 2 of Prusa Live.
Yes.
So
There you
go. Guys, thank you again. We will see you next year.
Bye.
Have a
Happy
great one.
holidays.
Thank you, everyone.